Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your WWE Payback 2016 preview and predictions.
Yeah, guys, here we are. WWE Payback 2016 is this Sunday. And I gotta say, man, I'll break it down to you like this. And in both ways, I'm trying to be very complimentary. The undercard of this show, my anticipation, like around a 7 to an 8. For the main event, because of all the conjecture and the speculation that I know you and I are going to get into and really unpacking it, Styles versus Reigns, my anticipation is honestly about a 9 to a 10. Because if things go down the way we envision them going down, man, the WWE landscape is about to experience some serious aftershocks in the wake of Payback. This could be a really, really fun and revelatory show that's entirely in WWE's power. Let's see what they can do with it.
Yeah, you know, you say that, but I think our main event discussion is going to be a little bit more succinct than you might kind of, believe it's going to be or predict it's going to be or whatever. But you could be right. I don't know. We'll see. We'll get to it. We're going to obviously talk about that last. You want to get right into this card, though?
Let's
Actually, you
do
know
it.
what? Before we do, let me just say my anticipatory numbers. I'm at like a 6 for this show, which is
Really?
still way better than I was for WrestleMania.
Right.
I would say that the match that I am the most excited about is Miz Cesaro, and then right next to that, maybe even a little bit above that, is Zayn Owens.
Yeah, and you did say that Ms. Cesaro was your most anticipated matchup, I believe, on our last Raw Twit Wow.
Yeah.
So it certainly stayed true, and I don't blame you. It's been a tremendously built mid-card feud, but I'm going to stay mum about that for now. We'll get more into it when we get to the actual match. Let's start unpacking this card.
Well, we have 8 announced matches, and I think that you and I are kind of anticipating that they might potentially add 1 or 2 more to that. So we'll talk about the anticipated, impromptu matches when we get up to like the main event area. But for now, let's talk about the pre-show, which we know for a fact has 1 match on it: Callisto versus Ryback. I honestly don't even want to say that Callisto is a lock for this, because I think that this being their second match and it not being at WrestleMania, and the idea that it's not going to be like, oh, the babyface has to win. I think that there's a possibility Callisto might actually lose the title to Ryback here.
I could certainly understand where you're coming from. Me personally, I'm still picking Callisto to retain because even though everything you said is true, it's not WrestleMania, it's not this, it's not that. Ryback got this shot by beating Callisto in a non-title match pretty dominantly, when you recount the finish. And I just feel like Callisto is going to battle back. He's not going to make those same mistakes, and he's going to retain. Which does beg the question, well, who is he going to drop the title to then? And I believe it was you that might have put forward the name Baron Corbin. I feel like he has a better chance of the way he's being groomed of being able to beat Callisto than Ryback does right now, who really hasn't made any waves since his heel turn. So I'm picking Callisto to retain here.
See, and it's so funny you say that, because to me, I at this point, I feel like they're going to try and keep Corbin away from championships for a few months.
Right.
The reason I said Corbin is because I didn't know if they wanted to just put him in the title picture immediately and just put a strap on him as soon as he gets up, since he never won the NXT title. But
Right.
maybe they're kind of holding off on that a little bit. I think that if Callisto retains, the guys that I think are most likely to face him next for the title are Finn Balor being called up and facing him then, and whoever wins Zayn Owens.
Good. I like the way you think. Yeah, I could get into both of those options.
Yeah.
But regardless, I'm still picking the babyface, being Callisto here to retain. And I don't know, Corbin to me, I'm not taking him off the table, so we'll see what happens. But this should be a fun matchup for the kickoff. I just really don't see Ryback doing anything, which is a shame because he's got a great personality. He does have a charisma that I think is often understated by a lot of people. But I don't think it's just going to really carry him that far after this program's over, so we'll see.
Yeah, and another thing too is if Ryback does win, in my mind, the absolute perfect opponent for him coming off of a U.S. title win after he gets past the Callisto rematch is Big E.
Yeah, definitely. It's about time the New Day started.
You do like way over the top babyface New Day Big E versus Heelback, and I think you've got some really entertaining potential program work going right there.
Oh, and if you put your back into it the way that WWE did with Miz Cesaro, like, you would have a stupendous mid-card feud there. So I completely agree with you. It's not that there's no potential in a Ryback title win. There certainly is.
Yeah.
I just feel like WWE, I think they're a bit short-sighted, and in their immediacy, they probably see more potential immediately in just keeping the belt on Callisto and just coasting by than putting it on Ryback and exercising that ingenuity.
Actually, you know what? I'm gonna pull a wild card here. I'm gonna throw a wrench into this. I think they're gonna put the title on Heelback so that he can lose it to Cena.
Interesting.
Because I think they want Cena to still be the U.S. champion. As soon as he gets back, I give it no more than like 2 or 3 months before he wins the U.S. title back once he returns. And yeah, I mean, granted, you know what though? No, because it feels like they haven't really done anything with Callisto or Ryback since WrestleMania. So yeah, I'm gonna go out on a little bit of a limb here, and I'm gonna say Ryback wins.
All right, so our first disagreement right out of the gate. I'm sticking with Callisto retaining. You say Ryback wins. All right, that's it. Let's move on.
Dolph Ziggler versus Baron Corbin. Can we call this a squash match or what?
It's going to be slightly combative, but the end result is, look, I ain't going to fight you. I don't think you're going to fight me. Baron Corbin wins, right? Yeah. No mistake about it. And then Corbin just moves on to the next one, whoever that is.
Yeah. Well, that was easy. Up next, let's talk about the finals of the number one contendership tournament in the tag team division. Enzo and Big Cass versus the Vaudevillains. And I am officially predicting the Vaudevillains to win this via Dudley Boyz interference.
See, now I'm gonna get a little ahead of myself, and I apologize to everybody, but now I'm gonna throw the little wrench here. I think Enzo and Cass are actually going to win, but the Dudley Screwjob is going to come in the actual tag title match. Because I'm thinking...
But there's been no indication that the tag title match is happening on this show.
I feel like one of our commenters even confirmed that it is happening on this show. Like, they have the tournament finals, and I guess later in the night is the tag title match. So, operating under that assumption, if that is correct, I say, yeah, Enzo and Cass win. And then the Dudleys screw them out of the title match, because I think that stings worse than just making them lose the finals. I mean, yeah, it still sucks, but I think if you really want to make it personal, you have Enzo and Cass actually taste those tag titles, feel like they're within an eyelash of winning them, then you do the screw job, New Day retains. So, yeah, I'm thinking Enzo and Cass are actually going to win this one. I'm going to go against my gut here. I know I've been saying, like, Vaudevillains, but the more I think about it, I mean, Enzo and Cass are hot right now. And I think WWE knows that, so I think they want to ride that momentum, get him in that title picture, get the crowd all hyped up for a New Day, Enzo and Cass collision. And
you know what, though, John? I'm going to say this. I think that the reason that I'm going to stick with Vaudevillains winning and the Dudleys causing that to happen is, and you know what, that's the thing. If the tag titles are being defended on this show from the New Day against whoever wins this match, you might be right, but I think that my biggest reason for sticking to my guns here is because if the Dudley Boyz attack Enzo and Cass or distract them or anything like that, it's going to make the New Day look heelish.
So I think your best bet then, I'm saying me here putting this forward, you just attack both guys, but you attack, I guess it would just be Enzo and Cass, whatever, first, because they have the animosity, then maybe New Day, because they get pissed like, hey, we had this under control. We don't need your help. Maybe the Dudleys lay them out too.
But then wouldn't that almost spell either a DQ or Enzo and Cass winning? Because if they attack Enzo and Cass first, and then New Day come to their defense, and then they get attacked, if the ref is down, that would lead to Enzo and Cass winning because they would recover first. But if the ref sees it, it's a disqualification.
Well, I mean, true, but in either case, though, the championship wouldn't change hands, so they're still effectively screwed.
So, dude, I just said if Enzo and Cass would win. No, that's what I'm saying, though. Like, if the ref isn't able to see it to disqualify it, then Enzo and Cass would win because they would recover first.
Right, but I don't think there's going to be a ref bump, and I feel like that's the only way he wouldn't be able to see it is if there was some kind of ref bump or something. I don't think the match is going to get that crazy.
So you think the match is just going to get thrown out?
Yeah, exactly. I think the New Day is going to win.
I mean, if we're talking logically, then that wouldn't make sense for the Dudleys to do, though, because then Enzo and Cass would still get a tag title shot because it was a disqualification.
Yeah, but see, the thing is, I don't really know if WWE would follow that up because Enzo and Cass would probably think, well, we got to take care of the Dudleys first if we want a fair one-on-one
Right.
tag title opportunity.
Yeah, I
So,
guess I just think, yeah, I think the New Day is going to beat the Vaudevillains, and they're going to keep Enzo and Cass strong by using the Dudleys to distract or something like that on Enzo and Cass to get them to lose to the Vaudevillains. So yeah, I'm sticking with my prediction. Vaudevillains win. You definitely have a more interesting way of looking at it than I do. I guess I'm looking at it more in like a vanilla way, but yeah, I think that they're going to have the Vaudevillains win due to shenanigans, and then they're going to end up losing to the New Day, and we're going to get Enzo and Cass versus the Dudley Boys, and they're going to do something else with New Day.
yeah, I mean, I can totally understand that. I'm going to go a bit out of left field. I'm saying
Yeah,
Enzo and Cass win. They
that's
get their
not
title
that
match.
out of
And
left field. I can definitely see where you're coming from. I just don't necessarily think it's going to happen.
right, so Enzo and Cass win, get their
Yeah.
title match, and then the Dudleys I'll just put it as they sully the party, and Enzo and Cass do not walk away with the WWE Tag Team titles. So,
Yeah.
there you go.
Okay. I would say that the next least relevant match is probably Ambrose Jericho, right?
Yeah.
And I'm
Uh,
just gonna come right out and say it. Everyone's picking Dean Ambrose to win. I'm going against the grain. I'm picking Jericho to win.
See, it's funny, right? Because this matchup and Owens Zayn are really confounding me because the heels have been pretty dominant on television, actually. I mean, when you really think about it, they've been winning tag matches, they've been winning singles matches when their opponents are like the other guys. So say like Jericho faces Zayn and Owens faces Ambrose. And you had on Raw, I mean, Ambrose was in the walls of Jericho on the announce table. Owens attacked Zayn from behind after he beat Rusev. And, so it's just been very dominant on the heel side. I don't expect both heels to lose because the whole theory is, oh, you're dominant on TV, but you lose on the pay-per-view. But I just don't know which heel is going to win and which heel is going to lose. Because I expect it to be like a 1-to-1. One babyface wins, one heel wins. I just don't know on what side is what. So for Ambrose Jericho, you know what? For Ambrose Jericho, I gotta say, I do think Ambrose is gonna win. I can totally understand why you feel like Jericho's gonna win because Ambrose's booking has been piss.
Well, and also
But
I think they're trying to keep Jericho strong because he's supposed to have a match with Nakamura in June.
right, right. But I just see Ambrose winning this thing. I don't know. I think maybe because I'm more invested in the Zayn
I'm gonna
Owens.
say, yeah, I'm gonna say Ambrose loses, but it's by shenanigans. Like Jericho grabs the tights, or like hits a low blow when the ref isn't looking, or has his feet on the ropes, or something like that,
Right, right.
so that we can keep Ambrose strong and we can have another one of these matches in 3 weeks at Extreme Rules, and it can be like a street fight then too.
Yeah, yeah. And maybe
Because I
Ambrose
feel
would.
like if Ambrose wins, Jericho doesn't really care enough to go after him.
Right. Yeah, it's not like, the whole AJ Styles thing where, because AJ Styles was new and all that other stuff, and you had
Yeah.
Pride. Like, Ambrose is already an established guy, so I think Jericho, not saying that he would meet a loss with
Maybe
apathy,
Ambrose would win the feud, but I do think Jericho's winning this first match.
which is understandable. I don't know, man. Maybe my perspective is skewed because I see just more going on in the Zayn Owens feud that I'm kind of heaping more possibility onto that. But I do see Ambrose winning this one, so I'm going to go with Ambrose here.
Yeah. All right. Do you want to talk about Zayn Owens next since we're talking about it already?
Let's do it. Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to piss you off here because I'm, again, going a little bit against the grain. I think Sammy's winning this.
See, and I'm not even trying to be that guy, right? I'm
No,
not trying to
dude.
do our thing.
I was 100% expecting you to pick Kevin Owens, and it's not even because, oh, you're a huge Kevin Owens fan and Sami Zayn's mad at you. It's more just, it makes all the sense in the world that you would have the heel win the first match. But the way I look at it, they want to keep this feud going. And if Kevin Owens wins, Sami Zayn doesn't really have that much motivation to go after him. Whereas if Sami wins, you know how Owens gets when he gets.
Yeah. Yeah, see, that's a great point. See, what I'm wondering is, and see, again, that's my problem. I gotta be careful here because, as the Wizard of Oz so famously, one of the famous movie quotes, we're not in Kansas anymore. Kansas, in this case, being NXT. I loved how they handled Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens' feud in NXT. But you can already tell on the main roster they operate under different rules.
Yeah.
I mean, already, Ashton, you know, and this is a big gripe with you and I, that Kevin Owens was pinned by Sami Zayn in a tag match. And you and I frowned upon that because we know their history and we know the booking in NXT, and that was problematic. So, on the one hand, I'm thinking, you know, if this is a takeover, I would just love, and again, I'm not even trying to be malicious, you do the apron powerbomb. Maybe Sammy's even close to winning. Kevin realizes it, and he just blows it all up. You know what I mean? And he's like, fuck it, whatever, forget winning, I'm going to make a statement. And he powerbombs Sammy, and then you have your emotional angle. That's how I feel like this match would be best served. Forget wins and losses. If you really care about the story, make an emotional angle. Because this isn't just some competitor. I mean, these guys, I mean, they even got a video package detailing we have a very rich history with each other. So me personally, I would have Sami Zayn win, but by like a DQ or some kind of throwout kind of thing, because Kevin Owens lost his temper and he just powerbombed the shit out of Sami. Or likewise, you could give Kevin Owens the victory simply because Sami couldn't respond. It's a literal knockout or a count out or whatever. I would.
See, and I'm fully expecting Sami to win with some kind of like a roll up or a small package or just some kind of clever like caught you kind of moment rather than actually winning like decisively.
You know what? I can't believe I'm doing this, especially because of all the frustration and confusion I've had with Ambrose, Jericho, and Zayn Owens on this card. But I'll go half and half with you. I'll say this. I'll say that Zayn wins by a roll-up, but Kevin Owens, in his frustration, powerbombs Sami Zayn on the ring apron post-match. Because I feel like that has to happen. Zayn cannot get a win here and just be expected to walk away with it and celebrate. Because you.
So do you think then Zayn would take a break for like a month or two to sell the injury, or because LOL main roster nobody's ever actually hurt unless they're actually hurt, he would be back within like a week or two?
Oh, definitely LOL main roster. Definitely. I mean, I personally would love the former because I think that's more emotionally resonant that way. But, you know, the main roster doesn't operate under those rules. But I think it also still fits within your perspective that you said earlier. You know how Owens gets when he eats a loss or something's deprived of him. And it would be embarrassing, especially a guy of Kevin Owens' caliber, if he lost to, say, a schoolboy or something. Or he just got caught by Sami Zayn.
Yeah, exactly.
So he explodes, does the powerbomb to Sami. So I think you and I both win because you get your prediction right, that being Sami wins. But I get really, because I'll be honest with you, and this is just me being sincere, I really don't give a shit who wins. I care more about the angle and how it's facilitated. Sami can easily win. I have no qualms with that. But I want the angle to be substantive, and I think that's achieved when Kevin Owens tries to endanger for the umpteenth time Sami Zayn's livelihood. And I definitely think that would fit the bill of Extreme Rules if Kevin Owens does go to the quote-unquote Extreme. So that, I'll go with you, and I'll say that, yeah, Sami wins by catching Kevin Owens, but I have to insist on a post-match Kevin Owens beatdown. So that'll be my little tack on there.
Do you have any idea when Neville is slated to return?
No, and I wish I did because I miss him, along with everybody else for that matter, but I have no idea what his timetable is.
Because I wonder, because I know he got injured before WrestleMania, which means he got injured in late March, and I feel like maybe, was it like a 1 to 2 month estimation? I don't remember what the estimation was.
I know it wasn't. Well, I almost feel like. See, now I'm getting it all confused because I know today I read Bray's prognosis is now like 6 to 8 weeks, so it was a little worse than we thought. And Neville, I'm not sure what Neville's was. I feel like you were right with 1 to 2 months. It could have been 3 to 4, but I don't think his injury was that severe. I don't know, dude. I don't know.
Yeah, I know he didn't even need to undergo surgery.
Right. Just gonna let it. Yeah.
I'm only saying this because I wonder if we could do a spot where Owens goes to powerbomb Neville, or goes to powerbomb Sami, and Neville's big return is to save Sami.
See, and no disrespect to Neville, because I love the guy and I just got done saying I miss him, but I would hate that. I would hate, because I just feel like that kind of cheapens it. These guys got a great video package. They have such a rich history. Do the angle. You know, I feel like it could be so much fun for casual audiences that don't know to see something of this intensity and this personal, you know, and right when SummerSlam's around the corner, you know, because even though SummerSlam's in August, that'll be here like that. And you and I know that.
You know what, dude? It looks like it's not going to happen. I mean, he would have to beat the timeline by a couple of weeks. Right. Because he got injured in mid-March. It was like March 15th or 16th or somewhere around there. And the estimated recovery was 2 to 3 months. So it would have been like just under the 2 month mark if he would come back at Payback. So maybe you've got a point, and I don't know. I think I still think Sammy's going to win via some kind of a quick roll up or something like that. I would, and they're going to do it anyway, so I shouldn't make a big deal out of it, but I just hate that they would have Sammy come back that quickly after a move that put him out for 2 months before.
I know. I hate it too. It's not that like I'm willing to just throw it under the rug. You know what I mean? Like I'm right there with you. Again, I feel like it's more emotionally resonant. Like I remember, and again, and this is the whole nostalgia factor. You think back to 2002 when Shawn Michaels and Triple H really heated up their angle. Michaels beat Triple H at SummerSlam. He gets a sledgehammer shot to the back, and he's in this wheelchair for like weeks, and they do the footage and this and that. I'm not asking them to be that dramatic with Sammy, but at least make it seem like Kevin Owens did something. Because at the same time for Kevin Owens, too, because first of all, it makes Sami Zayn look like a very sympathetic, very resilient babyface, which is how he should always be marketed, always. And for Kevin Owens, I mean, you're talking about legitimate heel heat, because you're talking about a guy now that doesn't even just care about wins and losses, but even if he does lose, he can end your livelihood. Your livelihood is in his hands when you're in the ring. The kind of heel I want Kevin Owens to be portrayed as. But again, I'm fully aware that I'm projecting. It's really frustrating because you've got two really quality talents here. I've said it over and over again. I may not be the biggest Sami Zayn fan, but I see the value in the guy. And if you handle him right, you're talking about a guy that really could be a future world champion. And I don't even need to get into Kevin Owens because if you've even listened to the show, people, for however long, you know how I feel. I just want them to do the angle right. I don't know if they will. I like the video package. That was a vote of confidence. We'll see how the match goes.
All right, do we want to move on?
We can move on.
So do we want to talk about the IC title or the women's title?
Let's do the women's title first, because that may be more succinct. I don't know.
Charlotte retains?
I think Charlotte retains, actually, yeah. I've been concerned about Natalya and Brett and all that crap, but no way are they going to give that belt to Natalya. I'm hoping not anyway.
I think Charlotte and Roman aren't losing the title until at least SummerSlam, both of them.
Yeah, I have to agree with you, dude. And the thing is, in the case of the former anyway, being Charlotte and the subject at hand, I think it's appropriate to do it that way, regardless of how we feel about Charlotte. I'm just talking generally speaking. I think at this point, when you're already this committed to it, you have to let her have her run and punctuate it the right way. And to me, the right way is at SummerSlam to Sasha Banks. That's where she ultimately eats her crow, has the comeuppance, whatever. Natalya is not the person to do it. Even with Brett, which it's a shame that they actually start using logic for Natalya of all people to negate Ric Flair, but this may be where Charlotte's ability comes to the forefront. What would be interesting is if maybe Charlotte, after she got this victory, especially given that, I mean, have you heard, Ashton, all the reports about Ric Flair at the airport recently and all those things that came out? Have you been hearing about that?
I've heard that he might not even be on the show.
What would be cool is, let's just treat the scenario like he would be at the show, business as usual, right? What would be cool to me is if Charlotte would beat Natalya on her own merit, and then maybe the night after Charlotte cuts a promo or has a segment that in a roundabout way gets around to the fact, I had an epiphany after I beat Natalya. I really don't need you. Dr. Phil was right. I'm a Flair, but I'm 10 times the Flair that you ever were, or something like that. And she pretty much leaves Ric Flair behind because she doesn't need the
Wouldn't that be almost like a face turn, though?
I don't think so because... Well, here, I think you have to handle it very carefully, right? I think context is everything. I think you could still make it come off heelish because Rick is a legend and he is beloved, I think, by a lot of people, with the woo and just his mannerisms and his personality. So I think you'd have to facilitate it in such a way that Charlotte makes her look like, just such a bitch. Like, how could you do that to your own dad? It's tricky ground to walk on. I'll readily concede that, but I do think it can be done. So yeah, I would like to see Charlotte sever the cord with her father post-Payback. I'm not holding my breath, though, but I mean, this whole airport incident and just everything else creates a very interesting atmosphere going forward for Charlotte's championship reign because, like I said, I think Ric Flair, no Ric Flair, let her have her run, drop it at SummerSlam. So Natalya cannot win now or ever if I have anything to say about it. Charlotte retains.
All right. Easy enough. Both of us agree Charlotte retains. Up next, let's talk about the Intercontinental Championship match, The Miz versus Cesaro. This is really difficult for me to pick because I enjoy Miz's work, but Cesaro just came back, and I don't know. What if the only reason they took the title off of? Oh no, I guess it would have made sense for them to keep it on Owens then. Maybe never mind.
You know, it's difficult for me too, dude, because here's the thing. I was saying, like, oh, you could let The Miz have his run, and I do stand by that. If you want Miz to have his run, I wouldn't be angry. I mean, he feels really complete. He's doing excellent work right now. If you want the guy to have his run, I think he's put in the time, and he's actually earned having a decent run with a championship. At the same time, though, and I'm trying not to be biased here, because I fucking love Cesaro, man. Everything that man does. I think he needs something. Like, he came back, crowd was crazy. He was part of that Fatal 4-Way, great. And then, the week after becomes number one contender, great. So Cesaro has momentum. Now, here's where I qualify my statement, right? You have to do something, in my eyes, with that momentum. That doesn't mean the Intercontinental Championship, but I think you have to do something. Now, I think your best answer is the Intercontinental Championship, because to me, and I hate to say this, because I'm a Cesaro fan, and I don't know how many people in our Twitwell audience are members of the Cesaro section. I don't think WWE fancies Cesaro as a world champion. I would almost say ever, but I'll be optimistic and say yet. So I would put the IC title on him. Just give him freaking something. Have him build the title back up, and have like these workhorse type matches on a regular basis. But then you could have a great character champion who's a great heel in The Miz. So it's really a no-lose situation for the WWE. It's just, what do you prefer in the moment? Yeah.
You talking through it actually helped me to make up my mind.
What is your decision?
I'm sticking with the Miz to win, and I think Ryback winning the U.S. title, Cesaro's going to go after him.
Interesting. So Cesaro will just, kind of trade off champions almost. Interesting. You know what? I'm going to stick to my guns, dude, because if you remember, I've been the one making the bold prediction that Apollo Crews may be the one to end Miz's championship reign at SummerSlam, and I'm sticking with it. So I say Miz retains, because I think Apollo Crews is ultimately going to be the next Intercontinental Champion. So Miz retains, which is unfortunate, because I love Cesaro, and I hope that he doesn't lose steam.
I love Cesaro too, and that's the thing. Like, us picking the Miz doesn't mean that we don't love Cesaro. It just means that we are enjoying the Miz's work, and we want to see a complete story be told with him. Whereas if Cesaro would beat him tonight, or on Sunday night rather, it would feel like an incomplete story, like Miz's story got cut off.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. So Miz, I think almost has to retain here for the reasons that you just said. I think that's an excellent point. So I hope Cesaro gets something better, because unlike, what certain people might believe, Vince McMahon, Cesaro definitely has charisma and a connection with the audience, and I think he could be a major, major player, more than what he's even doing right now in this war. I mean, you even said, like, this is the match you're looking forward to the most. So I hope he's able to do more in the future, but for now, the Intercontinental Championship is just not in his future. So.
All right. Well, John, we have one match left. So before we get to it, let's talk about some other potential matches that might get added.
Before that, though, let me just field you a question very quickly. I don't know if you want to discuss it here, or if you felt like we already discussed it sufficiently. Did you want to talk any more about the Payback segment of Mr. McMahon making the decision between Shane and Stephanie who's going to run Raw? The Authority or Shane?
Yeah, let's talk about that, too.
Yeah, so what are you thinking, man?
Oh, man. I mean, here's the thing. My initial instinct is to say, well, the crowd loves Shane, and Vince already let Shane run Raw because of his reception, so maybe Vince will just be like, oh, screw it, Shane, you can keep Raw for another couple months, but you're temporary until I find somebody not in the family to run Raw, because it's, conflicting interests or something, I don't know. But it's still Vince McMahon, and he still really just loves to screw his audience over. I don't know if you've noticed that or not, but he really hates his audience. And I feel like, yeah, I do. I think that he's going to give it to Steph. Maybe Shane will find a way to come back and run SmackDown. That's a possibility, but I think that the Authority is going to be back just long enough for Seth Rollins to obliterate them.
Here's the thing, right? And we, really had a nice, ample discussion about this on Raw Twit. Well, if you guys haven't seen that, I mean, I guess you don't even really need to, because we're going to rehash some of those points here. I really called for a brand split. I think this is where it's going to be facilitated. I think Vince is going to give the Authority Raw, because I think in a way that's kind of sticking into Shane, because in WWE's mind, Raw is always going to be the flagship, SmackDown's always going to be the B show.
Right. I think my big question regarding that, though, is how hard of a brand split are we talking? Like, is it going to be like 2008 where they have two separate rosters, they don't ever really cross over onto the other brand, we have pay-per-views for each show, or just on any given pay-per-view you have 3 or 4 matches from one show and 3 or 4 matches from the other? Like, or is it going to be like maybe like 2011, 2012-ish when they had like the Super Show going on where anyone could be on Raw, but only SmackDown people could be on SmackDown?
Yeah, that's a very good question, Ashton, and it's one
That's
that
always the question that I have when it comes to a brand split, is how hard of a split are we talking? Because, we've seen a pretty wide range of that rigidity of the line between Raw and SmackDown, and I'm just curious as to how rigid it would be in this case.
See, now, if I were booking, I mean, the death sentence, right?
No,
is
I get it. If either one of us was booking, it would be the hardest of brand splits, and it would be two completely different brands with their own separate rosters, and they wouldn't cross over at all, right?
Yeah, I think you almost need to, right, with the
Right.
parties involved, because you're talking McMahon's here.
And I mean, you could even do almost like with Shane, like what you did with Heyman back in the day, where he like drafts his own specific roster just for SmackDown. Like, Vince could pick 5 guys that were absolutely untouchable that had to stay on Raw because he feels like they are beneficial to the brand or they're best for business or whatever. And he would pick, like Cena and then like 4 heels or something like that. Or Cena and Roman and 3 heels, because of course we can't forget Roman freaking Reigns. And then Shane would have his pick at like 15 to 20 guys and women from Raw that would be on his SmackDown roster then.
You know what, Ashton? I think you know what? I know we try and be logical and grounded on premium predictions, but you know me too, and we both like to get out there with fantasy booking and have a good time.
Logic is fun, but it's actually, let me rephrase that. Logic is good, but it's so much more fun to imagine.
So I'm gonna have fun with this one, because honestly, because this isn't a match or anything, the logical constraints can only go so far. So here's what I think is gonna happen. You have Vince come out, and I'm pretty much going to go, I think this is kind of a consensus just with the dialogue you and I have had. This is what I'm going to do. Vince comes out. He gives Stephanie and the Authority Raw again, kind of stick it because it's the flagship, that empire, we want it. But because, Shane, well, you're so liked by everybody and you think you're so good, let's see what you can do at SmackDown. And because Vince wants to shake things up, I'll say in 4 weeks' time, on the day to Payback, because we figure Extreme Rules is in 3 weeks, so I'd want us to get through Extreme Rules. 4 weeks, they institute a draft, and we have a draft edition of Monday Night Raw, or just something like that. Yeah. So I say not only do we get a brand split, but I'll kind of piggyback off what you were just saying towards the tail end of your part of the discussion, and I think Vince is also going to institute a draft with the contingency being, and I don't know if this could work or not, but if for nobody else, certainly the WWE World Heavyweight Champion, whoever that could be at a given time, can go on both shows. I would say that would apply to all champions personally. Right. So champions can go on any show.
And that would help. That would help them even more then, because then both Roman and Cena, once Cena gets the U.S. title back, would be able to flip-flop.
Exactly. So yeah, I say we get a brand split and a draft announced. So I'm hoping it's purely fun-based, because knowing them, they'll probably be wet blankets and be like, oh, well, because see, here to me is the wet blanket.
Shane, you get to make the matches that happen on SmackDown, but everyone can be on any show.
Exactly. Or, which I guess could be more fun than even that option. Oh, Stephanie, you get Raw, Shane, you get nothing, and then Shane tries to worm his way back in, because honestly, it's been bad enough that he's been able to come back because, the fans made it happen. I mean, I love you, Shane, but seriously, that's some piss poor reasoning on the writer's half. And then he just tries to worm his way in again. Like, why not just have a smooth road, just him having his damn run? So yeah, if we're going to make it crazy and blow it up, blow it the hell up. Do, the brand split and do the draft. So that's exactly what I'm going to predict is going to happen, thanks to our dialogue here, so...
Yeah, well, you know what I think. I know what you think. Now let's talk about some of the matches that might get added to this show. I think not the least of which will be potentially, and again, I know that one of our commenters said that it was happening for sure, but I haven't seen anything that indicates that other than the comment, a tag championship match between the New Day and the winner of the tag tournament.
Right. Now, you already know my thoughts on that.
You
I'm thinking,
think,
yeah,
you think New Day's going to retain by DQ.
right, exactly.
And I think New Day's going to retain clean over the Vaudevillains. So,
Right.
all right. Do we think that Emma Becky is going to happen on this show?
Oh, I'd love for it too. I don't know. Cause to me, like,
They haven't built it very well.
not at all.
They've put
Not very
so
well at
little
all.
effort into promoting that match on Raw, and even if they have put some effort into it on SmackDown, it's been dwindling, and basically it's been a match that's been getting promoted by YouTube videos at this point.
Exactly. I don't think Becky Emma's gonna happen at Payback.
Okay, what about Sasha Summer?
Same thing. I don't think that's gonna happen at Payback.
Okay, what about Sasha and Becky versus Summer and Emma?
Ooh, see, that could be something. Because I think that's just apathetic enough for WWE to go with on the Payback card. Because it's just
Yeah.
like, why put effort into building two separate views when we could just, smack them together like they've done so many times before? That I could see as a greater likelihood, and if they would, yeah, Becky and Sasha, I think, would totally win that match.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
All right, so now let us move on to our main event, Roman Reigns versus AJ Styles.
So, who wants the ball first? Do you want me to talk about it, or do you want to talk about it?
I already know what I'm picking, so if you're even waffling a little bit, I can go.
You know what? Roman Reigns retains.
Yes.
There's no doubt about that in my mind.
I agree.
Do we agree, though, on the post-match?
But you know what? I have something in my mind. You tell me what you're thinking, and I'll tell you if I agree with you.
I say Balor Club. And honestly, like, I think Anderson and Gallows are going to come out. They're going to start beating down Roman Reigns. AJ Styles is going to admonish them again. They're going to seem like they're backing off, but then they attack AJ, get the gas from the crowd, and then the real person they answer to emerges. Maybe they even cut a promo, kind of, facilitating all that, and then Balor comes out, and they lay waste to both of them. Because the interesting thing to me, and I know we've talked about Balor a lot lately, when you look at what happened on SmackDown tonight, I'm going to do a 5-second countdown for those that haven't watched yet. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Anderson and Gallows beat down Roman Reigns again. So Roman Reigns has really been targeted. So my thing is, not only do I think Finn Balor is going to feud with AJ, like we both agreed. In fact, you put that forward first when we talked about Finn. But I do think he's going to gun for Roman Reigns eventually. I still have to believe in my gut Finn Balor may be Mr. Money in the Bank this year. So I'm saying Balor Club, and I'm saying he's going to lay both guys out, but with particular emphasis on AJ because that's going to be the first feud. Exactly what we've been saying for the last little bit now. So Balor Club for post-match. Now, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I think they're going to attack Roman, and then AJ is going to try backing him off, and then they're going to beat down AJ, and it's going to be 2-on-2. And Roman and Finn might even get the upper hand to the point that they knock, or I'm sorry, Roman and AJ rather might get the upper hand to the point that they like clothesline the Balor Club guys over the top rope, and then Finn will come out and get the the scale to swing to their side, and it'll be a 3-on-2 beatdown, and then Finn will hold up the title, and we'll get a triple threat next month.
Interesting. Oh my god, dude. The thought of Finn Balor, AJ Styles, and Roman Reigns in a triple threat makes me foam at the mouth. Just water at the mouth, I should say, because that just sounds so freaking good. Here's the thing, too. I'm glad that both you and I are sticking with Finn Balor debut at Payback, because there was part of me that was thinking, would WWE really be big enough dicks to just not do it? And yes, they would.
Totally. They would totally wait till the next night just to screw people that were tuning into the pay-per-view to see it happen.
But I don't think they're gonna do it for this event for this performer.
It's
I do
weird
think
because like they've completely devalued their own pay-per-views at this point. It's so weird.
Yeah, they've really almost become kind of like TNA in the sense that like pay-per-views really don't matter anymore. It's all about the television product.
Yeah, it sucks, man.
It really does, because then in that case, why not just be like Lucha Underground where you make your television matter every week and then you just have a big blow off. For in their case it's Ultima Lucha, in WWE's case obviously WrestleMania. But
well, and they could even do like WrestleMania, Royal Rumble, SummerSlam, and Survivor Series, but why bother having all of the in-between stuff?
I don't know, dude. I don't know, because I will laugh my ass off if there is no Finn Balor at Payback, only for him to show up 24 hours later.
Yeah.
It's time for Extreme Rules.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying, though, is that I could 100% see that happening. And
yeah,
they might even do where, like, Roman beats AJ, and then the following night, AJ challenges Roman again, and maybe Vince at Payback is like, Shane, you're going to be in control tomorrow night, but tomorrow's your last night. Stephanie's controlling it after that. And as Shane's last act as GM, he gives AJ one more shot at Roman, and we get the exact finish on Monday that you and I thought we would get on Sunday.
Yeah, dude.
Because that's totally something they would do, just because they like to sort of evoke power over their audience and make it seem like they're doing stuff to screw with their audience. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you thought that we would do this at the pay-per-view, but screw you, we did it the night after, damn it.
So you did it for free TV. Well, yeah damn it! Yeah, I don't freaking know, dude. I'm hoping they do it at Payback because I think, why am I even lecturing? WWE doesn't give a shit, but I think when you do a great wrestling product, it's all about the moments you create, and they have a chance to create a legitimate moment here with Finn's debut. They may squander it and save it for Raw instead and be like, oh, what a great moment for Monday Raw. Yeah, what a great moment for Raw that you could have had 24 hours earlier at Payback, you idiots. You stupid idiots. So yeah, I'll say it all goes down at Payback, but it wouldn't surprise me either if 24 hours later it happened on Raw. So.
Yep. All right. Well, I think that's about it, man. I think we're pretty much finished.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, guys. We will see you for Payback live reactions, and we might even do a little live reacting to the following Raw as well. We'll see you all then.